neighborhood became very in, very trendy. You have a lot of hipsters around here. You have a lot of young couples.
Julia Sanchez joining us now. If we look at Outremont, the riding itself, this will be a hotly contested riding. We all know that the Liberals want to win this riding.
Oui, ça va très bien. On est en train de faire.
They're going to have a candidate that's probably been in that riding, living in that riding for a long time.
But Rachel is actually here to talk about politics. You are seeking the Liberal nomination for the Outremont riding.
"12 years ago, people were talking about a different by-election in Outremont.
Est-ce que vous aviez l'intention de voter le 17?
Oui, absolument.
Vous votez toujours?
Oui.
Bon.
Are you going to vote?
Game changer. It was the first time the NDP ever won a seat on the island of Montreal. At the time, it was the party's only seat in Quebec. Eventually, Outremont came to be seen as a beachhead for the NDP, readying the ground for the orange crush that swept the province in 2011.
It is an NDP riding now. But if we look at the current landscape and you look, go back 11 years with an NDP, with Jack Layton and a popular NDP, you come in now and in the polls, the NDP has not been doing well.
Filling Tom Mulcair's shoes is a huge task, but that's what excites me about this opportunity. And it's one of the elements that made me think, oh, wow, that would be really, really amazing to be able to do that.
Up until last summer, Julia Sanchez was leading Canada's international development sector. Now, she's running for the NDP. After 25 years helping others abroad, she says she wants to turn her focus back on Canada.
We have challenges at home on all these issues, right? Our climate change policies, we have poverty issues. In this riding, we have some very severe poverty issues and marginalization issues. We have migration issues at home. I mean, all these issues that I have been dealing with overseas have a component or a side to them that is very much anchored here. And that by changing things here, by making things better here, of course, we improve Canadians' lives, but we also have a better impact on the rest of the world.
But Sanchez first has to win her seat, and that's no small feat in a riding that was long considered a Liberal stronghold before Tom Mulcair managed to snatch it away.
It's an interesting riding to test your own electoral capacity as a political party.
Danielle Bélan describes Outremont as a patchwork of neighborhoods, urban, multi-ethnic, with a strong middle class.
It's a riding that's diverse and reflects the diversity of Montreal in general. There's a majority of Francophones, but you have about 25% of Anglophones in the riding. You have several neighborhoods, Mile End, which has a large Jewish population. You have Côte des Neiges, where you have a large immigrant population. You have Outremont, which historically was a kind of better off neighborhood in terms of socio-economic profile.
Pour longtemps, c'est Rachel Ben-Dayan. Je suis la candidate pour Justin Trudeau ici à Côte-des-Neiges et Outremont.
I'm Justin Trudeau's candidate.
She can once again plant the Liberal flag.
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
People remember that. So the 32,000 doors that I've done up until now have certainly served me well. I'm surprised to the extent to which people will tell me, yes, we met 4 years ago. So it's stuck in people's minds, and I think that's helping a lot.
A lawyer and former law professor, Ben-Dayan lost to Tom Mulcair in the 2015 federal election, but her party made big gains in Quebec, winning 40 seats and leaving only 16 for the NDP. Now Ben-Dayan is hoping to win one more for the Liberals.
The Liberals hope that they will make some gains in Quebec. They want to see it as perhaps a prelude to what could be a red wave in Quebec, or at least gains in the province in the fall. So it's important for them to do very well here in Outremont, not just to win, but to win with a significant number of votes and to really outperform the NDP and the other parties, to send a strong message that Quebec is theirs, or at least that they really want to perform extremely well at the next federal election in October.
Bonjour, ça va bien? Ça va bien. Excellent.
Are you excellent? Have you taken your decision? Are you going to vote? Yes.
The important one, definitely for the NDP. So keeping Outremont for Montreal, for the NDP across the province, and the impact that will have. Quebec is important. The Orange Wave showed how important Quebec is, and so to the degree that we do well in this riding, it will have it will have an impact.
It's important for the message that will be sent to the Liberals of Mr. Trudeau in Ottawa. You know, we won here the last 4 elections, but there's a big background of Liberal support here too. So this is a clash of titans between us and the Liberals, but I'm confident that with a great candidate like Julia Sanchez, we will be able to win this by-election.
Bonjour madame, je suis le candidat du Bloc pour bloquer le pétrole et les paradis fiscaux.
I'm the Bloc candidate.
He's running for the Bloc Québécois.
Bonjour.
Duchesne is an award-winning author, playwright, and screenwriter. He's against what he sees as the Trudeau government's lack of support for Canadian culture.
The culture in Canada and Quebec has been so badly loved, and we find it outrageous for our next teacher of a drama school. Justin Trudeau was a teacher of theater and a drama school. How come he doesn't love and doesn't protect more culture than this?
The last federal election brought the Bloc Québécois its second worst showing in the party's history, with only 10 seats in the House of Commons. Duchesne says he and his party are eager to turn the page.
I'm the first candidate of our new chef, Yves-François Blanchet, so I'm the first one to have the logo, the new image, so it's kind of an honor, kind of a pressure. It's tough in 2019. There's a lot of cynicism. There's a lot of people, what the heck, we can't change anything. So you can either say that or say no. I want to go on the street. I want to go help, because I have a six-year and four-year nephews. They're going to see some buildings collapsing in the seas. They're going to see some countries that goes below sea level. If we don't stop that crazy thing of petroleum surproduction, it's all for the petroleum, nothing for the people. It's all for the big companies, nothing for the people. So people are back in the street and back saying, we will block you, sir.
It's a popular view in Quebec. Several pipeline projects have stalled in Canada. And according to a recent Angus Reid poll, 60% of Canadians think that's a crisis. Only 40% of Quebecers feel the same way.
On défend les intérêts de l'Ouest, strictement.
They're going to defend only the interests of the West despite environmental challenges. We shouldn't increase our oil production. We should keep some for future generations.
Liberals are pushing too hard for more pipelines.
J'ai l'impression qu'il y a beaucoup d'hypocrisie à ce niveau-là.
I have the impression there's a lot of hypocrisy in that regards. The government bought a pipeline and continues to promote the oil industry, an extremely polluting industry in Canada. It must be said, however, it has a rather big economic potential. Taking into account climate change, we should be taking a very big initiative. The results aren't there. Canada is not living up to its reputation as a relatively progressive country.
Around this issue, it's the top issue, and people are mobilized around this. So we can give a vehicle for action to that mobilization, that energy. The Liberals can't do that, and they know as well as I do. I have no doubt that this is the issue for this election. It's about climate change. It's about the environment. So it's very hard for Rachel Van Dayen to defend the Liberals' record on this, and especially in Quebec.
We have a concrete plan on the environment, one that takes into account clean tech, one that takes into account the importance of public transit, the reduction of plastics, and the protection of our oceans and our fresh water and our lakes. You know, these are things that don't often get discussed in the media, but that really do have an impact on our environment. And I think that when people see our plan, you know, versus the non-existence of a plan, particularly by the Conservative Party, they're actually really happy with our environmental action.
Would you say you're satisfied or dissatisfied by the Liberals right now?
Well, I gave them, let's say, 70%, so I'm hoping they will catch up another 30% next time.
And what's that missing 30%?
Well, paying attention to details, what they were promising. I think this is what's missing.
There was enormous hope, right? I mean, 2015 was a very particular election that, you know, people wanted change. They clearly were, you know, we were fed up with the Conservatives. They wanted a much more positive, progressive agenda on many, many fronts, climate definitely, but many, many others. And the Liberals played it brilliantly. They promised, everything. They promised the world, and they said all the right things. And so the hopes and the expectations were so high. And people are feeling really disappointed. This is the word that I hear, very often when I'm talking to people, is that they're disappointed. They're disappointed. They were expecting much more.
Is there a message you'd want to send to the Liberals in Ottawa right now? They have a big test coming up here in the riding. What do you think they should keep in mind?
I don't know what they should keep in mind, because they're failing, but there doesn't seem to be an option. The NDP doesn't seem to be any better. Someone has to find a leader.
Si vous pouvez répéter la question, je peux...
Jagmeet Singh is not very popular here in Quebec, and he has not performed that well at the federal level, across the country in general. And he has a test coming up also on February 25th, so we'll see what happens. But I think the NDP is weakened, and the Liberal, which was much weaker in the 2000s, now is back in the game, and it's trying to conquer more territory here in Quebec, starting with Outremont.
That game has taken a turn, and the Liberals are now playing defense. News headlines have been dominated by the scandal engulfing SNC-Lavalin, the Quebec engineering giant headquartered in Montreal. But Bendayan is downplaying any effect that might have on the vote.
So the people in the riding that I'm meeting are really happy with the work that has been done since we were elected in 2015. I'm focused on what people are telling me at the doors, and people are talking about making life more affordable for their family, and that's what I'm focused on.
It's symbolic, it's historic, it's going to determine a lot moving forward.
More people should go to politics, because the cynicism is killing us as a society.
Just like every riding, it's all about working hard on the ground and listening to people.